Weer eens baie hartlik welkom aan u almal, een en elkeen, by hierdie besondere Canola aksie wat die Proteïen Navorsingsstigting, die PNS, loods om kennis van kundiges met ons te deel en ook veral met u te deel. En soos die voorsitter net nou gesê het, sal u my verskoon dat ek dan ook hierdie kort verwelkoming in Engels doen terwille van ons buitelandse gaste. Ladies and gentlemen, a special word of welcome to our Australian visitors, Dr. Bauer and Dr. Preston, and also our local speaker, colleague of ours, well known to everybody in the agricultural circles, Professor Gerhard Scholtemeijer. The three of them will be our guest speakers today. Now, the canola industry in South Africa is still very young, and accordingly we have only limited number of canola specialists. And to complement such, we've turned initially to Canada, but it's already been many years that we've been in constant contact with Australia to complement the knowledge that we have in this country. And as the years progressed, we very quickly learned that the Australian circumstances are obviously the ones that are very typical to ours, and that we should therefore make use of the knowledge that they have. And I think it'll be fair to say that the PRF has built strong relationships with various institutions in Australia, from the Australian Oilseeds Federation, the AOF, to a variety of individuals, companies, institutions, from storage to tillage, and from seeding to harvesting, etc. And it is our intention to keep these relationships going, as can just be seen from the presence of our guests here today. And I may also announce that we are far progressed with invitations of speakers to a national canola symposium that we wish to stage in the Western Cape during 2016. And in the same vein, I wish to add that the PRF has already decided that we will build on these relationships with Australia and Canada and Europe, and that by the time of the conference we will also have added the USA and Argentina. But in order to give you the necessary background for today's discussions, I wish to submit some facts and figures concerning the South African canola situation. I mentioned that it is a young industry, and although we started in the very early 1990s, I've got figures here, 1998, when we had about 17,000 hectares of canola, and I'll give you the tonnages just after this slide. You will see that we slowly started. We were very happy in 2004-05 when we exceeded 40,000 hectares. And then we had quite a period of stagnation. And at that time, the PRF had to decide whether we were going to carry on with canola or not. And with all the efforts of so many colleagues in South Africa, and especially in the Western Cape, who were prepared to share with us the burden of building the canola industry, we are delighted with that part of the graph up there. Here we have the tons, the production, and you can see it's virtually the same thing. We started off, it increased quite well, stagnated, and then in the last 4 years there's a very definite growth in the situation. The PRF, in the light of what has been happening the past 3-4 years, decided to set ourselves some goals for 2020, As you can see from the graph, it was drawn by somebody who doesn't know very well how to operate computers, and I apologize for that, but I'm BC, before computers. This graph, we have indicated that we would like to see in the year 2020 120,000 hectares. It should be there somewhere, but the graph should go like that. But the important thing is that we've said to ourselves, we've set the target of 120,000 hectares 6 years hence. And likewise, we've looked at the tonnages, and again the same situation happens. 220 should be about there somewhere. So in the next 6 years, it is our intention, with your cooperation and everybody else in the industry, to achieve at an average yield of 1.75 tons per hectare, 210,000 tons of canola on 120,000 hectares. Now, in order to achieve these 2020 targets, we have identified certain priorities that must be addressed to achieve this particular goal. And today is a typical part of the program to achieve these goals mentioned. And I know that it's ambitious to add 6,000 hectares on average per annum for the next 6 years. But we've decided that to achieve what we wish to achieve, we will have to focus on technology transfer, which is what we're here for today. And the transfer will also concentrate on those aspects and those areas where the biggest potential for technology transfer is for growing more canola. And I will just point out one or two specific problems that we think we should address in the Swartland. It is a fact that the Swartland has a lack of exposure and experience in the production of canola, and I'm thinking of the various specific climatic zones which you have, and we've already in principle decided that that should receive attention. This brings me to drought tolerance, typical requirement, which is actually applicable to any commodity that we grow in South Africa. But with regards to cultivars, we'll also have to look at those cultivars which have traits that will give us the situation that we can have a bigger yield than 1 ton or less in the sandy soils, which we know that you have as a problem. We'll also pay some attention to blackleg and sclerotinia, as well as other pests and diseases typical of canola, including weeds. And we know that they are ongoing problems, and we will make sure that they receive the necessary attention. In conclusion then, ladies and gentlemen, I want to summarize by saying that we are obviously after higher yields and more hectares, and I wish to announce that the board of the PRF has decided that the canola competition, which we've been running for the past 13 years, needs a bit of a revamp. And we've decided, following some research that we did mostly in America, that we should change the normal competition to a yield competition. Worldwide, we find that farmers know their margins, but they really don't have the experience to produce the record yields that you only read of. And therefore, the whole idea of the competition is to prove that you can produce higher yields. We've seen it in the past. We started slowly, we're slowly progressing. We'd like to see the process of growing, we'd like to see that be expedient. Ons weet mos die boere is, as hulle vir hulle self die probleme aanspreek, is hulle baie ondernemend. En ons sal van ons kant af alles probeer om daardie ondernemingsgees van u te ontwikkel tot so 'n mate dat u canola as 'n winsgewende kontantgewas beskou en bedryf. in hierdie gebied. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, hearty word of welcome. Enjoy the day, and I trust that you will enjoy Dr. Bowden, Dr. Preston, and Dr. Meyer. Thank you very much.